103 Country, that's Dickey Lee, Rocky. And speaking of Dickey Lee, we have Mr. Dickey Lee in studio with us this morning. Good morning, Dickey. How you doing?
Good morning, Todd. It's good to be here.
All right, yeah.
It's good to be anywhere for me.
Yeah. And that song, Rocky, was number one back in 1975. Not only have you had an incredible recording career, you've had a huge career as a songwriter. We'll talk about some of the songs that you have written. But you're up here because tomorrow night, Saturday, you'll be in Beaverton playing, and it's going to be you and your guitar. You're just going to play songs.
Just me and my guitar.
Just you and your guitar. That's probably how you started, too.
Well, yeah, that's right. And I still do. I do shows with a lot of bands, but I've gotten to the place where I love just me and my guitar because you get to. It's more intimate, and I can tell stories about my songs and just how they came to be written, or some of them have great stories. But,
yeah.
But it's just fun, and I found out the audience really loves that.
They do.
To hear about songs and stuff. So
yeah.
Anyway, I really enjoy doing that.
Yeah, so that'll be at Beaverton Saturday night, August 17th, and as I said, you that's how you started, and we talked earlier this week. But do you remember the first song you ever? I know the answer to this, but our listeners, do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
Yeah, I do. I'm afraid.
You gonna sing it for us now?
It was called Anna Lee.
Anna Lee, and I asked you this question earlier. Was that about a love interest in your life, or?
No, not really.
Okay.
Not really.
You just come up with Anna Lee.
Yep, and nobody liked it but my mother.
Well, she's supposed to. She's required by law to. So what was the first song that you got as a songwriter? What was the first song you had as a hit?
As a song, well, this is pretty weird because the first song I had as a hit. She Thinks I Still Care as a songwriter.
That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good way to start.
Well,
right there.
like I said, it's been downhill ever since.
Now, how many people have? George Jones had a number one hit on it. Who else?
Anne Murray and Elvis had number one records.
Holy smokes! And didn't you say something like there's been 1,000 people or something like that that have recorded that?
Close to 1,000 recordings on the song.
Holy smokes!
So
that's just a great song, and we'll play that here in just a few minutes. But I want to play this song from 1971. This is Never Ending Song of Love. So We'll play that one. We'll come back.
That was my first country hit.
That was your first country hit?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll play Dickey Lee's first country hit, Never Ending Song of Love. We'll come back and talk more with Dickey Lee. It's the Morning Express, 103 Country. 103 Country, Dickey Lee, Never Ending Song of Love, as we're joined this morning by Dickey Lee. He's going to be at the Beaverton High School Saturday night, 7 p.m. Get out and see Dickey Lee. It's just him and his guitar telling stories and playing great songs. And let's talk about that great song, She Thinks I Still Care. How did you come up? I also got to tell you, you got to tell the story of this because you've told me this on a couple of times. You had a co-writer on there, and then you had to buy him out.
Yeah, well, it was really funny because he was a friend of mine, and not really a songwriter, but I wrote the song. He joined me, but he just wrote one line of the song.
Okay.
And later on, George Jones recorded it, had a big hit with it, and after that, after George's record, my friend called me and said, "Hey," he said, "You want to buy your half of the song back?" And I said, "I don't know." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, he says it's over with. I just thought, you might like to have all of it." So I called my manager and I said, well, Steve wants to sell me his half of She Thinks I Still Care. And he said, "How much did he want for it?" I said, $3,500. He said, "Offer him $25,000. And I said, "I'm not going to pay him $2,500 for that song. It's over." He said, "Yes, you are." He said, "It's going to be a good investment for you." So I did. He took the $2,500, and I did, and it was definitely a good investment.
It was a good, yeah. I love that story. Yes, it was definitely a good investment. Now, what was the line that he wrote?
Well, his line was just because I haunt the same old places.
Okay.
Which was a good line, but the whole song was kind of laid out, when
right.
he did it. And then he had he had another line. We argued a little bit about it. He wanted to finish it. The last line of the song is just because I saw her and went all to pieces. He wanted to call it just because I wander aimlessly without her. I said, nah,
that wouldn't. That wouldn't have.
But anyway, it worked out really well.
Yeah. Now, of all the people that recorded it, is George Jones's version your favorite, or is there somebody else that we don't know about that had a better
George
version
Jones is a heck of a singer, and he's definitely my sentimental favorite.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people saying they love the Elvis cut.
Okay.
And he cut it twice, actually.
Okay.
He kind of cut a little up-tempo version of it. And he's got that album, The Jungle Room, where they recorded it out at Graceland. And that song is actually in there 3 times.
Nice.
He's got most of his cuts. And then they did a bunch of outtakes. So it was also included in the outtakes.
Okay.
So, I thought, well, that's the first time I've ever heard the same song in one album 3 times,
Yeah, you don't mind.
But it's like it's like having 3 songs in there. You get paid for all 3 of them.
Yeah,
so
that makes it nice.
You're not kidding.
All right, let's play this song. We'll play this from George, and then we'll come back and talk about all the other songs that you've written that have been #1 huge hits. And so we'll play this one from George right now. She Thinks I Still Care, going back to 1962 as we chat with Dickey Lee this morning. 103 Country. 103 Country, that's the great George Jones. She Thinks I Still Care, song written by Dickey Lee. Dickey Lee joins us in studio. Hey, Dickey, did you ever hear, I know you heard the Pinkard and Bowden version of that.
Oh, yeah.
She Thinks I Steal Cars.
I wrote it with them.
Oh, you did? Really?
Yeah, nobody knows that.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay. Well,
but they came to me. They had the idea, and I can't even remember. I didn't add that much to it. But
okay.
They pretty much had it written.
Yeah, I remember those guys, and I still have that. She Thinks I Steal Cars. Yeah. So I learned something new today. Okay, let's talk about some of the songs you've written. The George Strait song.
Let's Fall to Pieces.
Let's Fall to Pieces together.
Well, that was 3 of us: Johnny Russell and Tommy Rocco, and I wrote that song.
Okay, Johnny Russell, of course, the great Johnny Russell.
And,
then Let's Fall to Pieces together. I've been around enough to know by a guy that used to jump in an orange car.
Oh yeah,
John
I just did a show with him about 3 months ago down in San Antonio.
And on that song, tell our listeners, you told me this, but the rock, they had to put like a blank cover on it when they sent it out to country radio stations.
Well, it's funny. Like there are all these. Every once in a while, there's a pop artist who wants to go country when his pop career runs out. And it would make country disc jockeys mad. Because,
right, yeah.
They say, so you can't make it in pop anymore. You want to do country. And most of those guys can't sing country anyway. I'll tell you what, to sing country, you got to know how to sing country.
Yeah.
But he was an exception. He loved country music. He's a great country singer. But anyway, he wanted to go country.
Okay.
And he'd had a few pop hits. But when they put the first record out, it was on Warner Brothers, they didn't put his name on there because they thought, well, if we put his name on there, country radio's not going to play it. So they just put a big question mark on all the promo records,
Yeah.
And as soon as they started playing it, I think it was in the charts for about 58 weeks.
Yeah, big hit from John Schneider. And you told me there was another version that was nobody even probably heard, and people should listen to it by Joel Saunier.
Joel Saunier got just an awesome version.
Okay, so if you're on YouTube, type that in, and I've been around enough to know Joel Saunier and see that version and see how I heard it. And it sounds.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, I did. I liked it. Yeah, it's got a different vibe to it, different style.
Oh
than
yeah,
the John Schneider
and
song.
it really didn't do anything.
Yeah,
which really surprised me. And it was 7 years from that time before John Schneider did it.
All right, and then of course you did "The Keeper of the Stars." How many times has that been played at somebody's wedding?
Oh, wow.
Tracy Byrd.
I've heard a lot of people, say, hey, we played at your record. And I always say, well, are you still happy, I hope,
Yeah, but I can't guarantee that as a songwriter.
One year it was, a year or so after it came, I think it came out in 95, and it was the record of the year.
Yeah,
it was the wedding record of the year. So.
And then, of course, Reba, you're the first time I thought about leaving.
Yeah.
And these are all -- 1 hits, too, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like they were just some obscure album cut. These were -- 1 hits.
Well, that Todd, one thing about my show, everything I do is at least a top 10 record.
Yeah. it's a great show, by the way. I'll tell people to come out. I was fortunate enough to see Ian Clare. He sits there with his guitar, plays songs, tells you stories, and it's just a fun night. And you learn.
I just hope I don't fall off my stool.
All right, yeah, there you go. Take a nap before you get out there. Let's see. We also got the one with the Dave and Sugar.
Yeah,
the door's
always open. Yeah.
I always, Dickie, the thing about Dave and Sugar that I remember when they were around, every time I would see them, they always had a different sugar.
Well, I think he had about 20 sugars.
Yeah,
overall,
I always said he was really tough to work with or he liked sugar. I don't know what the story is behind that. But all right, let's talk about this song. We've got a lady that I got to say hello to, Joyce in West Branch.
Yeah.
And she called me the other day and she said, "Oh, I love this song by Dickey Lee. This is like one of my favorite songs of all time." Let's talk about Patches. 1962.
Well, that was my first hit. That was my first legitimate smash hit.
Yeah.
And 1962, and it's funny how I got that song. I started off on Sun Records, and my producer was Jack Clement. I don't know if y'all have heard of Jack and I, Cowboy Jack Clement. He was well known in Nashville, and he's in the Hall of Fame, Country Music Hall of Fame. But he later did some work for Chet Atkins. He worked some at RCA, and he screened songs for Chet. And this song came in, and he heard it, and he didn't play it for Chet. He said, I'm going to play this for Dickey. Maybe we'll record this.
Okay.
So anyway, that's how I got it. And it
turned out pretty good.
Well, and I'll tell you what, another story about the song. When it was first released, it was out for a month before anything happened. I just thought, well, this song's not going to make it, and had forgotten about it. But and the reason nobody was playing it at the time because it was a double suicide, And my manager, who was in Beaumont, Texas at the time, he kept bugging this station in Beaumont to play it. And he had a good buddy on there who finally caved in and said, "Okay, I'll play it." So, and they played it, and it just went viral. And Houston was about 90 miles away. They heard about it. They jumped on it. Same thing. So it's just started jumping all over the country. But I remember there was one disc jockey, in fact, in Detroit. And I back then they would have the stations would have you call the radio stations,
right,
and I called this guy. I won't even mention his name. He may not even be alive today, but he said, "I'm not going to play that record." He said, "I don't like it. It's a suicide record." And I said, "Okay." I said, "But did you like Romeo and Juliet?" He didn't answer me. So anyway, I thought, well, Romeo and Juliet made it, so
right,
I thought maybe this one would too. But once people heard it, boy, they just went crazy.
All right, let's play it from 1972, Dickey Lee. Or 1962, I said 72, 62. Patches, 103 Country.
Might have been 1872, I'm not sure.